Absolutely, I can do that. Let's jump into it. I'll ask you one question at a time and keep track as we go. First question. In the story of the God and the woodcutter, how does the woodcutter first lose his axe?
Well, he dropped his axe into the pond, which is probably by accident. So yeah.
Exactly, that's right. He accidentally dropped his axe into the pond. All right, let's go on to the second question. After the axe falls in, who appears to help the woodcutter? And what does that figure do first?
Well, what the story said is an angel, but in the title it is the God. So I would say technically maybe a god or an angel. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna say due to confusion of the story name and the actual story.
Absolutely, that makes sense. Sometimes these stories do have different versions. So we can say a god or an angel figure appears and offers to help out. All right, that's question 2. Now for the third question. When the divine figure shows different axes to the woodcutter, what does the woodcutter do when he's offered an axe that isn't his own?
Well, he said Nevis and he said that he only has a old axe, but in the story it's and gold axe is probably a typing which is maybe a typing error. So yeah, so it is in axe or something like that. I don't think I know how to spell it. I don't think you can pronounce that word, so yeah.
No worries at all. You got the idea exactly right. The woodcutter honestly said that the fancy axes aren't his, and that he only had a simple plain axe. So that was the third question done. Now the fourth question. In the end, what does the god or angel do to reward the woodcutter for his honesty?
Well, the angel or God. He gives him both the silver and the golden axe as a reward, and same with his normal axe. So yeah.
Exactly, you got it right. The divine figure rewards him by giving him not just his own axe back, but also the silver and gold axes, for being honest. So that's question 4 done. Let's move on to question 5. What lesson do you think this story is trying to teach? About honesty or about doing the right thing?
It is about honesty.
Absolutely, that's the heart of it. The story really is all about honesty and how being truthful can lead to unexpected rewards. Great job answering that. Now for the 6th question. In some versions of the story, other woodcutters hear about what happened. How do they react when they learn about the first woodcutter's reward?
Well, only one woodcutter saw, which is a neighbor. So the neighbor decides to pretend to drop his axe, and then the god or angel came in and said, is your axe silver or gold? And the neighbor said gold, and the angel or God said you are not honest, and just left. So yeah.
Exactly, you've got it. The neighbour tries to be dishonest and claim a golden axe, because he's not honest, the divine figure just leaves and he doesn't get anything. Great job on that answer. Now for the 7th question, what do you think this part of the story is trying to teach? What's the moral behind how the neighbour's dishonesty turned out?
Well, the moral of the story is honesty pays. So yeah.
Absolutely, that sums it up perfectly. It's really about how honesty is rewarded and dishonesty gets you nothing. Great job with that. All right, let's move on to question 8. In your own words, do you think this story is something that will be useful to teach the kids or to share with others? Why not?
I would say yes. And honesty is used for like almost everything. Well, mostly knowing how to do this. Like, is this thing like how to do it? How if this thing is good or bad? And yeah. So yeah, I would say honesty is used for mostly anything. So yeah.
Absolutely, that's a great way to put it. Honesty is really useful in almost every situation in life, and teaching a story like this can help kids, or anyone really, understand that being truthful is important. Great answer. Now for the 9th question. Do you think the story would be different if the woodcutter had tried to lie at first and then told the truth? How might that change the outcome?
I would say I don't really know. So yeah.
That's totally fair. It's one of those what-if questions where it's hard to say for sure. The story's pretty clear that his honesty from the start is what mattered, but it's interesting to think about how it might have gone differently. Great answer anyway. Let's go on to question 10. Do you personally like stories like this one, with a moral at the end? Or do you prefer stories that are just for fun?
I don't really know. Like any story that's interesting, then it's good for me, in my opinion.
That's a great perspective to have. As long as the story's interesting and catches your attention, that's what really matters. It doesn't have to be one type or the other. Perfect answer. Now, let's go to question 11. If you were telling the story to someone else, would you change anything about it? Or would you keep it exactly the same?
I'd say exactly the same.
Perfect. Sometimes a classic story just works best as it is. Keeping it exactly the same definitely keeps that original charm and moral intact. And now for our 12th and final question. After going through all these questions, do you feel like you understand the story even better? Or do you have any other thoughts about it?
Well, I would say I understand it better, so yeah.
That's awesome to hear. I'm glad the questions helped you dive a little deeper into the story. And of course, if you ever want to explore more stories or just chat about something else, just let me know.